St. Augustine's Detective Hospital was an imposing and antiquated institution, nestled on the outskirts of a quiet, unsuspecting town. While it had once been a renowned psychiatric hospital, it had been abandoned for decades. The building's dilapidated facade bore witness to a tragic history, and whispers of its dark past had lingered in the air for generations. The hospital's eerie reputation was rooted in the legend of Dr. Malcolm, a brilliant yet enigmatic psychiatrist who had once served as its director. Dr. Malcolm's unconventional methods had raised eyebrows, but he had been celebrated for his innovative approach to treating mental illness. However, his legacy was marred by a series of mysterious disappearances. Patients, staff, and even Dr. Malcolm himself had vanished without a trace. The disappearances had baffled both the local authorities and the medical community. The town's residents had always felt an unsettling presence emanating from the hospital, leading many to believe that the place was cursed. Those who had dared to investigate had been met with inexplicable phenomena: disembodied voices, shadowy apparitions, and a sense of dread that clung to the hospital like a malevolent specter. Detective Daniel Harris, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for solving the most challenging cases, became obsessed with the mystery surrounding St. Augustine's Detective Hospital. Haunted by visions of the hospital's shadowy corridors and the anguished cries of the lost souls, he was determined to uncover the truth. Intrigued by Detective Harris' relentless pursuit of answers, a wealthy philanthropist named Robert Sinclair acquired the hospital and announced plans to reopen it as a state-of-the-art detective training facility. Despite the town's protests, Sinclair's influence and resources were too vast to be challenged. As the hospital underwent renovations, a new batch of aspiring detectives arrived for their training. Among them was Emily Parker, a gifted young detective with a troubled past. She was drawn to St. Augustine's Detective Hospital by a mysterious calling, an inexplicable connection to the institution's history. Shortly after their arrival, strange occurrences began to plague the trainees. Objects moved on their own, chilling whispers echoed through the corridors, and a sense of unease settled over the hospital. Emily, with her keen intuition, was the first to sense that they were not alone within the decaying walls. Emily's visions led her to a disused wing of the hospital, where she encountered the spectral figure of Dr. Malcolm. His eyes held a tortured wisdom, and his spectral voice revealed the horrors of his final experiment, a forbidden ritual that had unleashed a malevolent force within the hospital. The malevolent force, a shadowy entity that thrived on fear and despair, had been set free by Dr. Malcolm's reckless experiment. It sought to consume the souls of the living and trap them in an eternity of torment. The hospital's tragic history had become a breeding ground for vengeful spirits. Emily, Detective Harris, and the trainees found themselves in a battle for their lives as they confronted the malevolent force. The hospital itself seemed to come alive, with walls shifting, rooms transforming, and a maelstrom of paranormal activity. They were subjected to nightmarish visions, their deepest fears brought to life by the entity's supernatural power. As the malevolent entity closed in, the trainees were pushed to the brink of madness. Emily's determination to uncover the truth about Dr. Malcolm's experiment had made her a target of the entity's fury. She was subjected to relentless psychological torment, her past traumas resurfacing with horrifying clarity. In the midst of the chaos, Emily had a revelation about the malevolent force's true nature. It was not merely a vengeful spirit. It was a manifestation of the hospital's collective trauma and the darkness that had festered within its walls for generations. To defeat it, they would need to confront the hospital's past and the secrets that had been buried for so long. In a desperate bid to banish the malevolent force, Emily made a harrowing sacrifice. Drawing on her connection to the hospital's history, she offered herself as a vessel to contain the entity's malevolence. The sacrifice triggered a cataclysmic battle between Emily and the malevolent force, as the hospital's walls trembled and reality itself seemed to fracture. With the malevolent force weakened, Detective Harris and the remaining trainees performed a cleansing ritual that Emily had uncovered in her visions. As they chanted incantations and symbols glowed with ethereal light, the malevolent entity was drawn away from the hospital and into the light. In a blinding burst of energy, the malevolent entity was banished, and the lost souls of the hospital were finally free. They ascended into a radiant light, their faces at peace after decades of torment. St. Augustine's Detective Hospital, once a place of darkness and despair, had been cleansed of its malevolent history. As the dust settled, Detective Harris and the trainees emerged from the hospital, forever changed by their harrowing experience. St. Augustine's Detective Hospital, no longer haunted by its past, began a process of transformation, turning into a state-of-the-art detective training facility. The town, now aware of the truth, came together to honor the memory of those who had suffered within the hospital's walls. A memorial was erected, and the tragic events were acknowledged as a solemn part of the town's history. St. Augustine's Detective Hospital, once a place of fear, became a symbol of resilience and redemption. The town's scars ran deep, and the haunting memories of St. Augustine's Detective Hospital would never truly fade. But as the years passed, the hospital transformed from a place of dread into one of hope and renewal. The echoes of the forgotten were heard less frequently, replaced by stories of survival and redemption. Emily, forever connected to the hospital's history, continued to investigate the mysteries surrounding Dr. Malcolm's experiment. She uncovered long-buried documents and hidden records, gradually piecing together the full extent of the malevolent force's origins and the secrets that had been concealed for so long. As Emily's investigations continued, she realized that the malevolent force had not been fully vanquished. Its remnants still lingered, seeking to reclaim what had been lost. Emily, now a seasoned detective, knew that she would need to confront the malevolent force once more to protect the town and ensure that the hospital's dark legacy would never resurface. The malevolent force may have been banished from St. Augustine's Detective Hospital, but its legacy endured. As Emily delved deeper into the mysteries of the past, she realized that the malevolent entity was merely one piece of a larger, more sinister puzzle. The battle against the shadows was far from over, and Emily would need to face her own demons as she unraveled the town's deepest, darkest secrets. And so, the haunting legacy of St. Augustine's Detective Hospital continued, its echoes reaching far beyond its decaying walls, reminding all who encountered it that the past could cast a long and chilling shadow, and that some mysteries were destined to remain shrouded in darkness for all eternity.